Hi, welcome to Newski News Tutorials. For any more design ideas or for any equipment you may need, please log on to our website at www.newskinews.co.uk. You could also subscribe if you wanted to, but you don't have to, so thanks very much. Okay, so I'm just going to show you how to make a really simple and effective pumpkin. These are great for the kids to join in with because they're pretty simplistic and they can help along, which is great for them. They look great on cupcakes or as part of a larger scene on a large cake if you so wish. All we've got is pumpkin-y coloured sugar paste that's already been coloured, a little bit of green. This is roughly going to, be enough for one. You'll have leftover of the green, but that's going to do, if you imagine a gobstopper size, that's going to do you one pumpkin. I've also got some of this edible luster dust, which is optional, but it's nice to have a bit of sparkle on the food for the kids. So, starting with your orange sugar paste, just work it through because it does dry out quickly. While you're not using sugar paste, really, it's a good idea to have it underneath an upturned glass or maybe inside a plastic sandwich bag just to keep it a bit more airtight. So we're going to take the orange sugar paste and just roll it roughly into a ball, not forgetting that pumpkins are an organic thing, so they don't have to be perfect. Okay, and I'm just going to show you, all I've got here is, two knives that you're going to have at home, a sharp knife and a butter knife or whatever. So I'm not using any of my tools specifically, so you don't need to go and buy any. So we're just going to take the blunter knife, you don't want sharp lines, and we're just going to gently just encourage some grooves into the pumpkin-y coloured ball. And you want those to go all the way up and sort of pretty much meet at the top, like so. Okay. Then we're going to take our sharp knife. It only needs to be sharp because I just want that pointed edge, really. And I'm just going to pop it in and press it down gently for the eyes. Okay. And then doing the same thing again, I'm going to give a little zigzag for a mouth. So just pop your knife in, give it a bit of a wiggle. And again, this doesn't have to be perfect. I know that the pumpkins we actually carve out are very rarely very neat and tidy. Okay, so you end up with something like that. And then what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to take something with a rounded tip. In this case I'm using a paintbrush, but you can have anything, well, your finger would do really, but I'm just going to use a paintbrush just to bodge down a little bit of a basin in the top there. And that's just going to give us a bit of room to work with when we put on the vines. So taking the green, again just give it a bit of a squish to get that moisture evenly distributed through the paste. And all I'm going to do is take small bits of green and sort of roll them into sausages on my hand, really rough and ready. And that's going to be a bit too long to manage. I'm just going to split that off into half. And then as they get thinner, you can start to give them a little bit of a twist. And all we're going to do is we're just going to sit those on top so they look like the vines that come rambling out of the top of pumpkins as they're growing. I mean, you don't have to do this if you don't want to. I just like the, it's nice to have the contrast of the colours. So again with another. Now you can use a little bit of water in there just to help them stick to each other, but it's not really necessary. But you see there, for example, that's coming away. You could just paint on a very little bit of water onto there and that'll just help it stick, but I'm not overly fussed. If you have your cake ready to go, it's always nice to do these sort of delicate bits afterwards because then you can pop them on like I am doing, but you can have them, a bit more longer and accentuated and they can ramble down onto the cake underneath them then. Okay, so I'm just going to redefine that little bit of a basin in the top there just to give us a bed to sit in like this little stalky bit there. And again, if you want to, you could put a little dab of water on the bottom there, or edible glue if you wish, and just plonk it in the top. Okay, sort of squish it over a bit so it's not perfect. Okay, so that's our little jack-o'-lantern pretty much. If you want to, you don't have to, but these edible luster dusts, they're just great fun for kids. Anything that sparkles, especially around Halloween and Christmas time, it's really good fun. It works pretty much like an eyeshadow. I'll just sort of show you. Just make sure though that you get the edible luster dust. There's been a bit of controversy lately about edible glitters and what is edible and what isn't. You may find glitters that are sold in various cake shops that say that they are non-toxic. Well, non-toxic is not the same as edible. I've never used non-toxic glitters on my food stuff. I don't like the idea of it. So make sure you stick with the edible lusters. And then just using a paintbrush, a dry paintbrush, we're just going to add a little bit on there. I've used this colour just because it's a bit more sort of pumpkin-y colour, but again, don't go out and buy loads of different colours. If you want a little bit of bling for your cake work, just get something in a silver, you know, and then you can add that to anything really. And that's pretty much him. And there we have him. And a couple of those, especially if you did them in slightly different colours to each other, are going to look great on the kids' cupcakes.